Christmas at my parents' house had always been unfair, but that year it became impossible to pretend otherwise. Our living room looked like something straight out of a holiday catalog. A towering Christmas tree stood beside the fireplace, wrapped in warm golden lights and surrounded by piles of wrapped presents. Most of those presents had one name written on them. Sarah, my younger sister, had always been the favorite. She was outgoing, fashionable, and loved being the center of attention. My parents thought the world of her. I, on the other hand, was the quiet one, the responsible one, the one who constantly heard things like, "Try harder," or "Why can't you be more like your sister?" That evening, our entire extended family had gathered for the gift exchange. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, everyone crowded around the tree while my mom sorted through the presents. "Sarah first," Mom announced cheerfully. Sarah clapped with excitement as Dad handed her a small velvet box. Inside was a single car key. The room filled with whispers. "What is it?" someone asked. Dad grinned. "Come outside and see." Everyone rushed to the front door. Parked in the driveway under a light blanket of snow was a brand new white Mercedes. The family erupted. "No way! That's unbelievable." Sarah screamed and threw her arms around our parents. "I can't believe this." Mom laughed. "You deserve it, sweetheart." Everyone pulled out their phones. Sarah posed beside the car like she was born for it. I stood near the doorway and watched quietly. After a few minutes, everyone drifted back inside. Mom reached under the tree and picked up a small envelope. "This one's for you," she said, handing it to me almost as an afterthought. Inside were 2 $1 bills. I thought it was a joke at first, but Mom just smiled. "It's symbolic," she said. "Symbolic of what?" I asked. Dad chuckled. "Motivation." A few relatives laughed nervously. Sarah smirked from across the room. "You should work harder," she said casually. I folded the 2 bills slowly and slipped them back into the envelope. Something inside me went very quiet. Not anger, not embarrassment, just a clear, steady feeling I had never experienced before. Around 2 in the morning, when the house had gone completely still, I packed a small backpack. I walked through the dark living room one last time. The Christmas tree lights blinked softly. The envelope sat on the coffee table. I looked at it, then left it there. I opened the front door and stepped out into the cold. No note, no goodbye. And for the next 10 years, I never went back. I had no real plan the night I left. Just a backpack, a few changes of clothes, and about $80 saved from a part-time job. The bus station was nearly empty at 3 in the morning. A tired-looking clerk sat behind the counter. "Where to?" he asked. I looked up at the route map on the wall. "Somewhere far," I said. He gave me a long look, then pointed to a ticket. "Next bus heads to Chicago in 20 minutes. I bought it, and just like that, I was gone. The first year was brutal. I took whatever work I could find, washing dishes at diners, unloading freight at warehouses, cleaning office buildings through the night. Some nights I slept on a friend's couch. Other nights I stayed in cheap motels. I sometimes wondered if my family had even noticed I was missing, but every time that thought crept in, I remembered the $2, and it kept me going. Slowly, things began to shift. I started noticing I had a natural ability for fixing things. Machines, electronics, broken equipment that nobody else wanted to touch. One warehouse manager noticed. He pointed to an old conveyor system that had been sitting idle for months. "Think you can get that running again?" he asked. I stayed late after my shift and worked on it. 3 hours later, the belts were moving. The manager stared at it in disbelief. "Have you ever considered engineering?" I hadn't, but that one question changed the direction of everything. Over the next few years, I studied relentlessly. Online courses, night classes, technical manuals, anything I could access. I eventually landed a job with a small logistics company, managing shipping warehouses. I started as a basic technician, but I kept seeing the same problems. Trucks sitting idle, packages delayed, money lost because the systems were so disorganized. One night, I sketched out a rough idea for a software platform that could track and manage warehouse operations in real time. The company's owner looked it over. "Build it," he said. "We'll test it here." It took 2 years of late nights and early mornings, but it worked. Then other warehouses started asking about it. Then larger companies. We weren't just a logistics company anymore. We had become a technology company. 5 years in, investors arrived. 7 years after leaving home, our platform was running inside distribution centers across the country. By the 10th year, the company's value was something I never could have imagined as a kid sitting under that Christmas tree. I had a home, a team, and a life that looked nothing like the one I had walked away from. Then, one December afternoon, while going through reports at my desk, my assistant came in holding an envelope. "It's handwritten," she said, looking puzzled. "From who?" She checked. "Someone named Sarah." My chest tightened. My sister. I hadn't heard a single word from my family in 10 years. I opened the envelope carefully. The note inside was brief. "We saw you on the news. Mom wants to talk. Please come home for Christmas." I read it twice. Then I looked out the window at the city below. 10 years ago, I had walked out of that house in the middle of the night with almost nothing. Now they wanted me back. I had to decide whether I was going to walk through that door. The house looked almost exactly the same. Same lights along the roof, same large tree glowing in the living room window. When I stepped inside, the room went silent. My parents stared at me like I had appeared from somewhere far away. Sarah stood near the fireplace, arms crossed slightly. "You actually came," she said. I said I would. Nobody seemed to know what to say. Finally, my mother stepped toward me. "We saw your interview," she said quietly. "Your company, what you've built, it's remarkable." I nodded but said nothing. My father cleared his throat. "We didn't understand how hard things were for you back then." I looked at him evenly. "I wasn't struggling," I said. "I was leaving." Sarah shifted. "About that Christmas, the gift. I was young and I was wrong." I raised my hand gently to stop her. Then I reached into my jacket pocket and set something down on the table. 2 crisp $1 bills. "I kept the lesson," I said. "Motivation." No one laughed this time. The room stayed quiet. And in that silence, they understood something they hadn't 10 years ago. The night I walked out with nothing was the night my real life actually began.